Hello and welcome to She the People on Tour. I am with Ada Sharma. She's a versatile actor, but most importantly, at the core of her, she has this massive following that's looking towards her for change. What change is Ada helping us all embrace? How is she making us feel different about ourselves as girls and women? And what is the power of having such a massive social following due to the way she conducts and rises above all? All of that is on this show. Thanks, Ada.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I want to go straight into the conversation about the amount of weight on your shoulders and how heavy it feels to remind our generation and many others that women need to change, and this is how.
I think the first step being able to change is being able to accept yourself and be yourself, because you don't have to change, you have to be you. But we're all trying to be someone else. We're trying to be versions of somebody else that other people want us to be. And I think in the process, maybe we forget to be ourselves. It's very easy to get carried away and be another version of somebody else, or someone else who's popular, or someone else who's considered beautiful in commercial standards, or someone else who's doing something else, but you see them as successful, so people tell you do that because that's how you can be successful as well.
But that's how people see you, right?
Now, but that's not how it was always. However, my thing, how I've been brought up, my parents have always told me that most importantly, I mean, you're an actor, you're doing this, you're doing whatever, you have to be a good person. So that's the number one thing. Everything else follows. You have to be a good human being. I remember even when I told my mom I want to do movies, she said, yeah, all of that was okay. And I remember she took me for a week. We went to the ashram and we stayed there. And then because she said, I just want you to be able to, I mean, all the glitz and glam and do it all whatever you want to. But you have to get back to being a good person always.
Yeah.
Whatever character you play, you have to get back to being able to be you, and better be nice. And, that's the most important thing.
So, who are you, Ada?
Now I'm so many things. I would always like to think I'm so many personalities, a concoction all put into one. But at the core of it, I think I'm an animal who's very accepting of other animals and species as well.
I love that. But how difficult is it? Maybe reflect a little bit on this as to, the art of survival is very important in your world, because there's cutthroat competition, and not just competition for talent. How you look, how you dress, and you were talking about all of these trappings. Whether it's the 1960s or it's the 2020s, the trappings are very much there.
But the trappings are there for anyone in any industry, I think. It's how you look at it. I've never defined my worth by the brand that I'm wearing, for example. That has not been a thing. However, I do define my worth on, now I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but on how I perform in the work that's there. So if I don't like my performance, I do feel terrible about myself. But if I've worn something that, say, the fashion police have not given me a 10 on 10 and I still liked what I wore, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. If someone's wearing something else, I've never aspired to want to wear that. That's not, it's never been on my thing. A pair of shoes has never been like, I need to have that and then only I'd feel really good. But if I've done, say, a role, and I'm offered another role. For example, if I'm playing a cop in a film and I'm offered another cop in another, I want to see how I can play it different or what I can do with that. And that somehow, even that shouldn't, but I'm not so self-evolved or anything. But that would trouble me if I'm not good at that.
Fair enough. But let's pick it. What do you think defines you? What makes you Ada, who's not just another actor?
Oh, I don't think anything should define me. I want to be undefinable, not being someone who cannot be put into a bracket, someone who is ever changing, ever evolving, because I think as soon as a day comes where you can define me, then it's over, no? For the movies also, because then I'm just one person who can do just one thing, because that's my definition.
Yeah.
So, no.
I've been wondering whether, do you think that people get intimidated by you? And if they do, why?
I don't know, am I intimidated? I don't think so, though I have been told, actually, I thought not, but I think people do sometimes, because when I first meet people, I'm very comfortable with animals. Like when I first meet, I'm very friendly. And maybe when I first meet people for the first time, I'm not mean, but maybe I'm kind of quiet or something. If you put me in a loud, noisy party with people, I might just like not mingle too quickly. So that would come across a little. Maybe someone told me that was really intimidating. They thought I was extremely bitchy, but I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But maybe I just give a look or something. So.
Would you call yourself an introvert?
Yeah, in my definition of an introvert, yes. But again, people define introverts differently. For me, an introvert is not someone who's shy. I'm not shy at all. I'm not underconfident either. I feel very confident in my skin. But I do like to stay in my own energy a lot of times and maybe not throw it all, spread it all around. And yeah, I really enjoy my own company. So if that's an introvert, then maybe, yeah.
You know, a lot of young people follow you and they follow you for various reasons. But on this interview at She the People, I'd like them to know 3 things about you that they don't.
I can hold my breath above water. I can fly when no one's looking. And that they don't know, I think people really know pretty much everything about me. I don't know. I'll have to make up stuff. I can tie my shoelaces with one hand. I resort to a sense of humor because that's my defense mechanism, actually. I think that would be something you wouldn't know about.
Tell us more.
I do that all the time with everything. I use it in like really serious situations where the world's crumbling down. I actually laugh sometimes and people are like, are you like, so yeah, maybe that's a little scary also. But
Yeah.
I do that, yeah.
What makes Ada cry?
I cry only when I'm frustrated. I don't cry when I'm sad. I somehow don't get, I've never cried tears of joy, ever. I had to I did a music video now and there was a shot in it where they said she's crying. So I said, but why are you happy? And they were like tears of joy. And so I was telling them also, I said, in real life, I've never cried tears of joy. I don't know, it's never happened for me. Never been so overwhelmed. I cry when I'm frustrated, actually. Yeah. Like, I don't know, you see those horrible dog videos, people abusing, putting them in a bag and those. And then you see the fine is 50 rupees and I'm just like, oh, I wish, that's a frustrating thing. I don't have control over, castrating those people who are being so awful. So that would make me really sad.
Yeah. One of the conversations we are constantly having at She the People is about how ignorant women are about their health. And even if they are not ignorant, they just let it be. How would you want to redefine the way women think of themselves when it comes to health and mental health?
Firstly, by including all species and genders in, it's not just women, it's men and everyone of all genders, in today's fast-paced lifestyle where we're always on our phones and your whole day you can just get carried away all day just swiping. You won't know when the day started and got over. I've also been victim to that crime, I think. So I think, taking care of your health, whoever you are, and being kind to yourself and to other people as well around you. Sometimes you might not realize it. And I know everyone says you have to be kind to yourself. You should be really kind to yourself. But sometimes when in the process of being really kind to yourself, you don't realize how horrid you're being to the people around you. So take that into consideration also.
Yeah. Would you say that you pay attention to getting your tests done on time, constantly getting your scans in place? And the reason I ask you that is because if you're doing it, people are going to say, if she does it, I should do it too.
No, you should, whether or not I do. I'm as human as all of you are. And like I said, I have also been victim to now sitting and scrolling and looking at cat videos and the whole day is gone by. So, no, I'm very human. I'm very good with my dental hygiene, so that I take care of very, very well. I don't miss a dental appointment, so that I can say, yeah, please take care of your teeth. I floss and brush all the time, and I floss after every meal. So my dental hygiene is excellent. Other than that, maybe I should start doing tests and other things. I'm a procrastinator, so. But you don't have to be me. You should be you. I should be inspired by you.
So let's talk about films. Where do you see yourself today? And particularly with many films where women are fronting the films.
Right.
What kind of landscape is that changing?
That's really great, firstly, that women are being allowed to be at a position where you can frontline a film. And I got that opportunity with the Kerala story. And people watching it have given me the opportunity to now have more such films and more such roles offered to me, because now people are like, okay, you know, you're a bankable person who can take a film uh, on your shoulders. So that feels really good. I can see scripts coming where I'm like, wow, I'm doing something where it was first a male character playing it. They switched the gender and made it a female. So I was so excited about that. I thought that's such a cool step to take, you know, in a film, because you had your protagonist who was a male and you made that a female. So yeah, it's baby steps going forward, but it's nice. Yes, I hope every leading lady in Indian cinema gets great opportunities to play leading ladies who take a film forward. I think there's a whole audience to watch it, so why not make such stuff?
Yeah. So as you see yourself and the way cinema and OTT and television in general is changing, what are the kind of roles do you think you'd like to headline?
I like to choose and pick things that I haven't done before, also genres that I haven't done before. I do want to do fiction and reality. I mean, based on real stuff as well. I enjoy doing fiction a lot too. So a mix of both. Uh, I did, I mean, Kerala Story was like a human drama. Then Commando was action. What I'm doing next is a comedy, but it's like a really dark, weird space. But I'm trying with each thing to do something that I haven't done before, so I can,
Yeah.
you know.
So when you look at actors today, a large number of them are trying to redefine the way we understand feminism
Mhm.
by bringing out a lot of issues that are important for society to change. They always say, right, cinema reflects society and society
Totally.
reflects cinema. Is that something that you're thinking a lot about, and why?
Of course, I think we think about that even when we're doing an ad commercial or an Instagram brand video. I try to be as in places where I read something and I feel like this is not right, it shouldn't be like that. And now, since I have a say, I really put my foot down and I say, no, change it to something like this. Or maybe we can change this line to something like this. It would be so nice. Or to anything where, or sometimes it might not have come across, if there are, say, all men who are doing something, it might not have even come to their notice that, oh, this could be something where, and then I'm like, can we do this maybe instead? And trying, like I said, it's baby steps. But
Yeah.
I feel if you're in a position and you can push it, we really must, because like you said, a lot of people are watching us. A lot of people get influenced by an actor by even what dress they wear or their hair color. So imagine if you're so influenced by physical attributes of a person, imagine how you can mentally influence someone as well.
How do you think you are questioning the beauty tests that women are put to?
So when I had started off, I always had these really dark, thick, bushy eyebrows, and I was very conscious about them. And people told me, you cannot have this and be a leading lady. You're not going to get any stuff. Like, this is terrible. So I used to do them in the thin line, you know, with the arch there. And I have stitches on one eyebrow here. So to do that now, whether that goes above that, so one was always up and one was, if you see like my olden ones, zoom into pictures, it's always like that. It's really awful. But I think, I don't know when this happened, this change suddenly happened, when one day I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's to bleed and all, you know, when that woman takes that dhaga and she had to, like, it was a workout for the woman who's like tweezing my brows. It wasn't just plucking out one hair strand at a time. It was like physically like uprooting skin. So yeah, so I just left it to that, and I started thinking that maybe, you know, if people like accept me like this, because who defines beauty? You sometimes see something repeatedly and start thinking that that's okay, which I think has happened with my face. And now a lot of people think I look okay because they're like, okay, that's how she looks. So yeah, I also try that if I'm you know, just going just around, I'd go normally and not dolled up, because I think people should see how we look when we're sweaty and not perfect looking. I'm
Yeah.
okay with my hair not brushed and all, because in real life I am like that. So sometimes I think it's okay to be seen like that. If you're now, if you're on a magazine cover and it's exactly what their brief is and how you have to look, you should be able to do that as an actor, and you should be able to do this as well. So yeah, you see pictures of me where I'm not very fancily turned out.
But I love
And,
that. I like
I
your
think
attitude
that's,
towards it.
it's also nice. I can be a little lazier then, because then people have seen me not looking too nice. So then they're like, "Ha, she looks like this. It's fine."
So is
Yes.
like many women and girls, is there a lazy side to Ada? Tell us about it.
The dressing up one, yes, very. As far as like in my work thing, no, I'm not lazy. And if I have to do something for a role or something, I will go. I'm totally obsessive and completely crazy. But about dressing up, yeah, I'm really lazy. I'm so lazy that, you know, suppose I have my cupboard of a lot of clothes, and then I've worn, suppose, this dress, okay? So now this dress goes to wash and it comes back out and it's folded and it's kept right there. So then when I open the cupboard, that's right there. So I don't look for more things. So for the next week, every time I go to the cupboard, and like every alternate day will be this, and then there'll be something else in the cupboard. So that will get picked out. And sometimes a month goes by and I've worn like the same 3 outfits, because when we go to shoot, we use costumes from your look. So going and coming back in the morning and evening, I take what's right there. My team will totally agree. Like they see me wearing the same thing every alternate day, because I wear this and wear that. So that's lazy, maybe.